Hello everyone, my name is Jamie Leal and I'm part of MPA MindSonar here in Canada. And now we have the opportunity to interview Dr. Jaap Hollander in the Netherlands, who is the creator of the tool MindSonar. So hopefully we're going to have an opportunity to clarify and answer all of those questions we have been receiving after our marketing campaign in Canada. And once again, we want to apologize because of the technical difficulties we had yesterday during the webinar, but here we are and delivering this interview, this recorded interview. Hopefully, you're going to find the answers to the questions you were throwing yesterday. So thank you, Jaap, for being here. Welcome to this webinar interview session. So how are you?
Well, I'm happy to be here.
Good, Jaap. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how did you get to this moment on developing MindSonar?
Yes, well, I'm a clinical psychologist, and during my studies, I already got to know a lot of tests like intelligence test and MMPI personality test, and projective tests like the TAT and the Rorschach. And then I went on to be basically an NLP trainer, although I do some other things too, of course, like most NLP trainers actually. So about 10, 15 years later, which is about 15 years ago actually, I learned about meta programs, maybe even a little before that. And at one point, I decided it would be nice to have a computer program that would analyze somebody's meta program so that the client in coaching or in therapy would come in already holding a sheet with his meta programs. So I started developing that. At first I thought it would be a little project, like, a couple of afternoons, but it grew and grew and grew, and more people were interested in it, and it developed into what is today MindSonar.
Good. And I know you're a book author, right? So you have written several books on something called provocative coaching.
Yes, on NLP too.
And NLP too.
Major NLP text in Holland that everybody uses, sort of the NLP Bible in Dutch, was written by Lucas Derks and me.
Good. And you have a book on the mate, right? It's coming.
Yes, right now, this month, at least that was supposed to come out this month in November, Provocative Coaching, published by Crown House in London.
Oh, good. Congratulations. We're going to be looking forward to that.
Well, thank you. It's a really nice book. It's based on seminars, so it's really easy reading, very funny. I can recommend it.
You recommend it? Okay, well.
Yes, I do. I recommend my book.
You recommend your book. Well, that's what we expect, right?
Right.
So, why don't you tell us a little bit about MindSonar? What is MindSonar exactly?
Yeah, so MindSonar is a web-based measurement that measures what are your meta programs, what are your criteria, and what is the hierarchy of your criteria, your values, and to which Graves category, that is what spiral dynamics category, do your criteria belong. And one other feature is that it uses response times to judge how certain you are about your answers. So that results in a graphical page where you can easily see, it's sort of like a sonar page, where you can easily see what are the main elements in somebody's thinking style, and a 30-page report.
Okay, so how can you difference? Because there are lots of tests in the market,
oh, yeah.
and how can you? What is exactly what makes different MindSonar from the other tests?
Well, most tests, especially personality tests, will measure how somebody is always and everywhere, while MindSonar only measures how somebody thinks in a given situation. Because it's measuring meta programs which can change in different situations. People will think differently you know, when you are playing with your kids, you're differently, think differently than when you're giving a business presentation, for instance. So that's one major difference, is that you're not, if you're measured by MindSonar, you're not put into a permanent box or, you know, a permanent category. It just says, well, this is how you think in this given situation. Also, everything that's being measured by MindSonar is possible to change. So it's possible to change any meta program. It's possible, although a little bit more difficult, to change your values. So it has a direct link to training, coaching, personal development, organizational development. So if you take a personality test, like for instance MBTI or MMPI, you know somebody's personality. You're presupposing it will always be like that. So there's, you know, it's difficult to use that as a basis for coaching, training, whatever. And with MindSonar, that's much easier. Also, MindSonar doesn't have any fixed categories. It does about 20 different measurements, and you can, you know, base millions, billions even of categories on that.
Okay, so can we say that MindSonar is not a personality test?
Yes, absolutely. We can say that with total confidence.
So this is not here to substitute any of these personality tests that are already in the market. It's just more to complement?
Well, you can substitute it. You can use MindSonar instead of a personality test, and in fact, many people do. But it's a different thing. It's a different type of measurement, and you can do different things with it.
Okay, and how does it work? I mean, if you talk about this test that is measuring all these different aspects and time responses and thinking styles or meta programs, how does it work? How do you get to measure that?
Well, you enter the program on a website, basically. And you basically answer a lot of questions during, you know, 40 to 60 minutes. Some of these questions are about your values, and you have to sort of drag sliders back and forth to sort of give a really detailed response to, you know, how you think in a given situation. Or you are asked to, for instance, put your criteria in a hierarchy, or you're asked what the opposite of your criteria are. There's a whole bunch of questions like that. And all the while, your response times are being measured, and together that's calculated into a profile.
Okay, and you mentioned that dragging this, and I know the MindSonar test, so I can tell that one of the basic or the most important characteristics is that there are no, like, let's call radical answers, like totally white or totally black. So you can move this slide from one question to another, or from one answer to another, and have different, let's say, options, like 40% to white or 60% to black, right?
I mean, you were sort of intermittently disappearing here auditorily, so can you ask that question again?
Yes, I can do, don't worry. So I was saying that as one of the characteristics of the MindSonar test is that to answer, you are not forced to select either one or two, either A or
true.
B. So would you like to tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, well, when you answer a MindSonar question, you will see a little ball on a slider, and you can divide your answer over the two alternatives. So you could say it's 40% this and 60% that, or you could say it's 20% this and 80% that. So you can really give answers with a lot of nuance in them.
Okay, yes, and that's interesting because sometimes, at least with most of the personality tests, you are forced somehow to select either A or B, and sometimes the answer is like, well, sometimes I'm A,
A little of this, a little bit of that.
a little
Yeah.
bit of this, a little bit of that.
Well, technically, it's even called forced choice. That's even a technical, test theoretical term for forced choice. So MindSonar is not forced choice, but it's, you know, sort of sliding choice.
Okay, and right now, as we are interviewing you, we have this slideshow that says the 4 main differences between MindSonar and other tests. So the first one, just to make sure that we are covering them all, is like, is not a personality test. So does not measure personality, and does not measure any skills.
No, that's true. There's also a lot of companies these days have this whole competency system in place where they're measuring competencies which are often defined in behavioral terms, or at least in terms of, you know, capabilities, competencies, skills. MindSonar is measuring on the next level, above that or below that, you know, however you want to see it. And MindSonar will measure the thinking style elements that make it possible or likely to develop a certain skill or have a certain skill. So people who are, you know, working a lot with competencies, say with MindSonar we are measuring, you know, the level under the skills, and we can predict from that, you know, what kind of competencies somebody will be able to develop. Although, of course, they will still have to develop that. So it doesn't really necessarily say that they have those skills, but it gives a good view on, you know, the potentiality that somebody has to develop them. But MindSonar, in and of itself, is not a skills test.
Okay, and also has no limited number of types or categories.
No.
Like you mentioned
There's
before.
a whole
Right?
bunch of variables, and they can go up and down on a 10-point scale. So it's as if you could make, you know, and actually you are making, usually for certain circumstances, a special set of category, a special type. You can, it's like you could almost say you can make your own types with MindSonar.
So if it doesn't measure personality, doesn't measure skills, it has no limited numbers of types or categories, what exactly is measuring MindSonar?
Is it measuring anything then? Well, yeah, it's measuring thinking styles. So, for instance, I don't know if the viewers are familiar with the meta programs in NLP, but you know, some people in their thinking are more proactive. You know, they're always ready to go, do things. Other people are more reactive, reflective. You know, they like to think a lot, reflect a lot, you know, look at the situation from different sides. And this is one of the variables that MindSonar measures. Another variable, another example, there's 13 actually, another example is, are you more thinking conceptually, you know, what is the essence, what is the central question, or are you more thinking structurally in what are the different elements and how are they related, how is this like this, and what are the other elements, and etc. Or are you more thinking in terms of, you know, practical use? What can we do with this? Tomorrow when we start working again, how can we apply this? So that's, you know, the distinction between concept, structure, or use. Another one is, are you thinking more in options? We could do this, but then we could also do that, or this and this and this, and you know, liking and wanting very many different possibilities, and you know, being fond of, you know, trying out new things. Or are you thinking more procedural in a step-by-step manner? First we do this, and if we finish this, our next step is that. And so there's a whole bunch of distinctions like that MindSonar measures.
Okay, so as far as you're telling us this, I understand that you're basically describing the different profiles that you can get out of the thinking styles and the MindSonar test. Are there any profiles that you can tell us a little bit about, like this, if you have this profile, you would have some advantages, or you would find yourself doing this or behaving like this, or tending to take this career maybe? I don't know. Are there any examples that you could share with us?
Yes. Well, you can look this way at individuals. Say they have a certain problem, and then you can look at their profile for that context and see how their problem relates to their profile. Or you could have, for instance, a certain job or a certain function, and you could find what are the right profiles to be good at this particular job. So, for instance, one very big project here in Holland has been with the freestyle horse riding juries, where, well, it's a long story, but they were basically having difficulties selecting the right freestyle horse riding juries in the sports, and so they profiled 10 very good jury members, and they made what we call a benchmark profile for a good freestyle horse riding jury member. And I remember that one very interesting thing there was that a good jury member, in terms of, for instance, past, present, future thinking, is almost totally focused on the future, on the present, and he can be focusing a little bit on the future, a tiny bit, maybe out of 10, half a point, maybe 1 point, but he absolutely needs to have 0 points on the past. Why is that? Well, I mentioned, you are riding your horse, and there's a jury member that looks at you and think, well, last time I saw him, he wasn't doing very well, so I'm going to give him a bad rating again, So that would be a jury member who takes the past into account too much. And it's okay, as a jury member to look a tiny little bit for the potential that the horse has, or the horse and the rider. But mostly you need to be focused completely on what am I seeing now. Well, there was a bunch of other distinctions like that. I don't quite remember them, but because I didn't do that project myself, but that together made a good profile for a jury member, and all the new jury members were tested against that profile.
So would this make MindSonar headhunter tool? Recruiting tool?
Well, certainly for now selection, for instance, BMW has been using it a lot to select salespeople that have a good profile to sell BMWs, and yeah, it's being used in selection, it's being used in coaching. The Army in Holland uses it for their leadership program. Banks use it for their marketing, sort of profiling different target groups. Lots of teams use it for team building. One very impressive example, at least impressive for me, was the Olympic horse riding team that went to London in 2012. They were coached by MindSonar professionals, and they did very well. They won a lot of medals. I'm not saying it was because of their MindSonar coaching, but they said that it certainly helped them.
Okay, and so now that we have this MindSonar tool, and we understand that this is not a personality test, but it measures the way you think, your thinking style in different circumstances. So it's contextual, so it means that it measures your thinking style in a certain context. So it means, does that mean that if I take the test thinking as a parent, it's going to be totally different than thinking as a businessman?
Yes, probably.
Okay, and can I change that? I mean, is there any way I could have a different, let's say, profile or grade
Yes.
on this MindSonar. Is there any way like I could do something about it? Maybe I don't like the results of the test. Let's suppose I'm working in a company and then suddenly they hired someone from the MindSonar team or a certified professional and they make me take the test. So I take it, but I don't like the results. I mean, it's like maybe I don't have this perfect profile for the position that I really want to be in. Mm-hmm. Is there anything I can do about it?
Yes, well, certainly. Well, part of the certification training is this coaching aspect. So if somebody has a certain profile and he wants to change certain meta programs in that context, we have several different coaching techniques to help him make that change. So if you are selected as a salesperson, for instance, in this big automobile industry, they will compare your profile to very good salespeople, and they will pinpoint some areas where you have some room to develop. They even organize special sort of training classes for salespeople to develop that aspect of their thinking style. So, for instance, be more proactive, or be more people-oriented, or be more structural thinking. So yes, you can absolutely change that, and so it's if you measure somebody, or for instance in coaching, that's also what happens in coaching. So I have this problem and I have this profile. And then I discuss with my coach, given this profile, how does it explain the problem I have, and which meta programs do I need to change to solve this, or to achieve my goal, or to be better at this.
Okay, and so let's suppose that we have a professional who is already a coach. He is a life coach or a business coach, and he wants to use MindSonar. How can he have access, or she have access to a MindSonar test?
Yes, so you can only use MindSonar if you are trained to use it, because we see there's the measurement, there's the professional, and together they make a good combination. And it's not only the measurement, it's always how a certain professional handles that measurement and uses that measurement in relationship to a client, a team, an organization. So if you wanted to do this, you could take a MindSonar certification training with Jaime, for instance, in Canada, if you're in Canada. And you would learn how to prepare the test, how have people take, how to interpret the test, how to do a good interpretation, debriefing, how to use it in coaching in different ways, how to use it in team building, how to use it in organizational development. So, some people in the United States who have taken the certification training were really enthusiastic about all the different business opportunities it offers.
Yes, and what if I'm a certified life coach, but I don't have any tools on NLP, so I don't know anything about NLP, neuro-linguistic programming? Do I still have a chance to get into the certification, or what is the background that you require for someone to register for that?
Yes, well, somebody would need to be an NLP practitioner or have a similar coaching level. So you have to know about coaching. If you don't know anything about coaching, I certainly discourage you to take the certification training. But if you either are an NLP practitioner or even master practitioner or trainer, that's a very good background. There's also, if you are an accomplished coach in some other system, then that works okay too. But if you're just beginning with coaching, I would suggest you first finish your coaching, skills, your, coaching competencies, your coaching certification, and then add MindSonar to it.
Okay, now what about other professions? Like we've been focusing a little more on coaching, but I understand there are some other professionals that could benefit from the tool.
Yes, absolutely. It's been used by mediators, for instance, to sort of measure the thinking styles of their, people who are, being mediated by them. Not every client wants that, but if they do agree with it, it's really helpful in the mediation to sort of explain also even sometimes how the conflict even got started in the first place. It has been used by managers, basically often to better understand their clients, their bosses, their employees especially. It has been used by marketeers. For instance, like I said, this Belgian bank has been profiling different target groups. A lot of companies these days have different target groups that they will adapt their advertising to, and where they can profile this group with groups with MindSonar. So that's marketeers. So it's basically coaches, team builders, organizational developers, teachers often,
Yes.
trainers, and managers, and people like that.
Okay, so if I'm a professional on any of these professions, to say, not to be redundant, but let's say I'm a marketeer or I'm a professional sales trainer, so how can I access, or do I have to be certified in order to use a tool? Maybe I just want to use like 5 or 6 tests, and I don't see like the need of registering. Is that possible?
Yes, absolutely. Then you would have to find a MindSonar professional, and hire this person to do the MindSonar testing. This happens a lot here in Europe, where now somebody will have a team, like a manager, for instance. That's the most common application. A manager will have a team, or a management team, or a sales team, or whatever, and they will hire the MindSonar professional to profile the team and improve, build the team, improve the communication within the team, and improve the results the team has. So they don't need to do that themselves. They can hire people to do that.
Okay. So is there anything else that, well, I have another question, a final question, just not to take too much of your time, is what do you expect to happen with MindSonar in the future? What is your plan for MindSonar?
Well, I was very happy that MindSonar made the jump from Europe to the United States, and it's spreading there now. And so what my vision is to have a MindSonar community. This is already very strong here in Europe, where people from different areas and different countries will exchange what they have been doing with MindSonar, sort of inspiring each other and getting good ideas for their own new business plans or new business ideas. So, for instance, just to name one thing, if you would like to work with sports teams, and that in Holland already MindSonar is being used with an Olympic sports team, that information or the details about that, and knowing the people who have actually done that might make it much easier for you to get that kind of work or to develop those kinds of things. So my future vision is to build a MindSonar community worldwide, where different coaches and team builders and organizational developers can basically inspire each other.
Well, it's good. It's good. So, do you have any other comments? Anything else that you would like to take this opportunity to communicate with the audience?
Yes. So, one of the major applications of MindSonar is modeling. If you are familiar with neuro-linguistic programming, you know that modeling is a very important aspect of NLP. And MindSonar really helps to do modeling in a very easy to execute way by profiling a number of people who are good in something, and basically the evolutionary potential of NLP is modeling and spreading the skills, etc. And MindSonar can really help with that.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time and all this information about MindSonar, Jaap. And we're going to be looking forward to interviewing you about how you're improving the tool, because I know that you're constantly improving the tool and adding new things, and we are sure that MindSonar next year is going to be totally different in a good way. So thank you for your time, and hopefully see you soon.
Okay, well, thank you, Jaime, for the opportunity to explain these things, and bye-bye.
Well, thank you everyone for being here with us in the MPA MindSonar webinar, interviewing Dr. Jaap Hollander, creator of MindSonar in the Netherlands. So if you need more information, you can either visit our website, which you can see now in the video screen, or visit directly Dr. Jaap Hollander's MindSonar website in Europe, www.mindsonar.info. Thank you for your attention, and hopefully see you soon.